Hey everyone, BigMark here, and welcome to Beyond the Line. So today we're going to be talking about Berkeley and the second riot to happen there. So as you know, it was a freedom of speech event that was, invaded by Antifa, and then the two sides of the story clashed together in a pretty violent uproar, and the police stepped down, really didn't do much in the situation. So we're going to go through, we're going to have a look at some footage, and then we're going to talk about it later. So as you can see, right from the start, Antifa aren't here to be peaceful. Like, they're just pushing over the top of the barricades that's designed to separate them so they can have a peaceful protest. Instead, they're pushing in, they're already calling out for Nazis, and they're already in people's faces and being obnoxious pricks like they always are. So it's safe to say you know how this is going to end. And here we can see it's, exploded, conflict is happening, people are pissed off, and now you've got the people on the free speech side fighting back against Antifa who've been assholes. And this is the really fun part. The fun part is that these are normal everyday Americans that have had enough, and they're finally fighting back, and they're kicking their ass. They're actually beating the shit out of these useless pieces of shit.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision soft.
Sorry, I can't stop laughing at this. I don't know what the hell she was thinking. Like, she's dressed in all black. She's there. She's trying to fight, I guess, the evil Nazis, and she just cops a right hand straight to the face as hard as she can. That's the best thing out of this whole entire event to me. I think that is the funniest thing that has happened. This is the best meme ever. Every time I talk to any Antifa person, I'm going to send them this video because this is how terrifying they are. Anyway, let's carry on and keep watching the events transform, and then I'll talk a little bit about it after.
Cut the shit! Cut it out! Cut the shit!
Yeah, and you're watching it live.
As all this was happening, our favorite bass stick man, as we know him from the last Berkeley rally, he was having a little conflict with some Antifa members himself. And as you can see, like, this guy, he's pretty big compared to these like little Antifa thugs that think they're really tough. And I don't think this guy was expecting what's gonna happen to him. Like, he just gets pummeled every single time. That's how strong Antifa are.
I'm filming you.
Oh, I'm gonna hurt you.
Because you have a mask on. Oh, shit.
Motherfucker!
So that's about all the major footage from the event. There's other things that happened, of course. Like, I could go into detail about them throwing the smoke bomb that actually blew into them and caused them to lose their ground and so forth. I can talk about all the other stupid little events, but I really just want to talk about this, and I want to talk about things that happen like this. Like, this guy brought in a U-lock and they hit this guy over the head who was just crouching down. He was obviously arguing, but he wasn't being violent. And then these guys, as soon as they lose, they jump on Twitter and they jump on social media and they talk about how these Nazi fascists attacked them when they were trying to do a peaceful protest. Like, this is the problem with this new wave of, I guess, politics now. Is that instead of dealing with the problem and trying to argue with each other and having your argument based on a foundation of morals or a foundation of evidence and fact, which is what it should always be, and if you conjure up a strong argument that's based on facts, then you should never lose. Your position should always be strengthened and hardened, and then those who oppose them, well, they have to come with more facts or with facts that disprove you, and it's the only way they can beat you. But now you have these rise of these groups like Antifa, and like I can't even say that it's like white nationalists that do this, because generally I've never really seen white nationalists go out of their way just to beat people up. Like the days of the KKK are long over. And so it's weird. Like this is a group that's claims to be anti-fascist, and yet they're doing the exact same thing the brown shirts did in Germany. Like this used to be like the politics back then. Like the fascists actually used to beat the shit out of their political rivals until they had no more rivals, and then they took over. And now these anti-fascists are doing the exact same thing they claim to hate. And I think that's really interesting. I think that these brand new Antifa who say that they're just anti-fascist, but honestly they're walking around with anarcho-communist flags, so safe to say that they're all communists and they're pretty against American values anyway. So even if you are a liberal, like you're no friend of theirs, because as they painted in Berkeley last time, liberals get the bullets too. So it's this new group of people that are coming out here, and they're claiming to fight for your rights, but realistically they're fighting against everything that you should be standing for. Like they just broke up a protest that was pro-free speech. So let that sink in. It was a protest talking about pro-free speech, and Antifa broke it up on the basis of they'll put out some political thing out there where they're going to say, oh, we broke it up because they're not talking about free speech, they're talking about hate speech. Well, unfortunately, as long as your speech doesn't cover inciting violence or calls to action, like calls for violence, speech is just speech. If you want to claim to be a white national, or you want to claim communism like Antifa does, or you want to claim conservatism or constitutionalism like most of the people at the free speech rally were, like that's your right. You get to put your idea onto the public stage, and everyone gets to scrutinize it. That's what people are forgetting. Free speech also means free scrutiny. Like you actually get to attack their ideas back. This is why free speech is so important. This isn't just as simple as, oh, I get to go out there and I get to spout a bunch of hateful bullshit and no one can do anything about it. No. Free speech is about putting your idea forward, and you're free to put your idea forward, and then the other parties are free to scrutinize your idea. And this is how we get to a good idea. The problem, if you sink free speech and you get rid of free speech, people who think like white nationalists, and people who think like Antifa, and people who think like other really fringe groups, like the alt-right, which is not very big anyway, but people who think like that, if you silence them, they go into the dark, they go into the corners and the recesses of the internet, and they talk amongst themselves, and only amongst themselves. And then they slowly bring more and more people in, and you don't get to shine a light on how crazy they are, and over time they'll metastasize, and like cancer they'll spread. Whereas instead of doing that, it is really our best opportunity. Whether you're left, whether you're right, whether you're centrist, like I try to be centrist. I know it's not always possible, but no matter what your political ideology is, you need to understand that if you're going to oppose an idea, first you need to know what that idea is. If you silence everyone, you will never know of the ideas that you need to oppose, and so these things will be, like I said, in the dark, metastasizing and spreading like cancer. And now the best thing we can do is we get these ideas. We get white nationalism. We get alt-right. We give them a platform. We stop no platforming people because we're pissed off. Instead of that, we give them a platform. We give them a place to speak out in the limelight. And when they're out in the open, you can see. You don't need to silence them. You don't need to beat them up. You'll see how fucking stupid their idea is. And when you see how stupid their idea is, you don't need to do anymore. The public will decide, and the public will destroy them themselves. You don't need to do that. Like it's not your job to try to protect mankind because you wear a fucking black suit and cover your face like a fucking coward. instead of standing up for your ideas, it's not your job to do that. The public space will do that. Every citizen will do that. You don't need to do that for them. You don't need to think for them. I think that's the important thing. Like, you don't need to think for them. They will do what they think is right. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't always end well. Like, as we saw in Germany with the brown shirts, it didn't end well. You know, Hitler took over, bad Nazi regime, killed a lot of people, as we know. It doesn't always end well. But it's not your job to stop people from doing that. It's your job to have your voice, speak your mind, and think for yourself. And that's what I am. I'm pro individual rights. I'm not pro fucking governmental power of all, teach you how to think, teach you what to say. I'm not for that. I'm pro individual rights. Because if you have individual rights and you have the right to talk and you have the right to think, those two things there, you will not need any more rights to get along with life. Because if you have the right to think and you have the right to talk to each other, you'll be able to form resistances, you'll be able to, process ideas and spread your ideas equally, and everyone gets heard, and the best idea wins. Just how democracy is supposed to be, and just how democracy has generally gone most of the time. That's the future. Anyone who says, oh, communism is the way to go, or socialism is the way to go, fuck your free speech, anyone who thinks like that is an idiot. Because, democracy in itself, the whole idea of democracy is that everyone gets a say. Everyone. No one gets left out. Everyone gets a turn. Everyone is equal. One vote equals one vote, regardless if it comes from a man, woman, black, white, Asian, whatever. One vote is one vote. And I think that what we can take from this rally, and what we can take from this series of events, is that, some groups of people need to stop trying to think for everyone, and instead really need to take a look in the mirror, because in the process of trying to defeat the thing that you hate most, you've in turn become it. So that's all I have for today, and I guess we didn't really cross the line today because we're really talking about events, but be sure to leave a like and a comment, and give me some criticism, and be sure to subscribe for more content, and I'll try to keep up to date with everything. And, I guess, as always, we crossed the line. Not really, but I'll see you next time.